It is indeed a pleasure to have this privilege to play here for you. We intend to give you a very fine program, so just settle back, relax, and enjoy the moment.
Good morning. Mic check, mic check. Different setup. Different day. Can y'all hear me? Anybody watching? Drop something in the chat real quick if you can hear me. Oh man, I just wanted to sit on my couch and try to do this thing. I'm gonna try to do it from this couch. The monitor is like right here. Yo, what's up, Meg? Yeah, real quick. This ain't gonna be quick. Yesterday, y'all know last week I took the week off. Needed to rest, and not rest to get ready for not necessarily rest to get ready to keep making content, but I just needed to rest. And but there's so much news. Thank you, Meg. There's so much news that broke, so I just wanted to create this content and folks can engage with it when and how they can. So much news broke. Good morning. Who this? Happy Saturday, your garbage friend. I love that. Happy Saturday. But yeah, so much news broke yesterday, especially. This is the Post and Courier, but this is not what we're gonna get into. Most notably, in the Post and Courier, I caught a story from Thursday. This is the Charleston Police Department YouTube page. I do want to just add a content warning, or just verbalize a content warning. Content that I'm going to be reviewing is the video of Jason Cooper's shooting that took place on 12/29/2020. Yeah, so the story broke. Matter of fact, let me just go ahead and look for it in the Post and Courier. The story broke on Thursday. That's when the police released the footage, right? So I'm gonna put Jason Cooper in. Yeah. And I'm gonna hit News Live 5 covered it. No, wait, here we go. So yeah, here is the story. And there's a troll that's engaging me on Instagram about this, right? The troll is trying to say, hey, Jason had these guns. And look, I really want to make this really clear. If you're following Charleston Activist Network, if you respect and trust my voice, understand that I'm talking about this issue of police murder, this issue of extrajudicial killings of Black people, of all people by police, but specifically Black people. I'm talking about a structural and a systemic issue, right? And so we can't talk about these things, and do that with a white supremacist lens that like erases all the like one thing I'll never do is erase all the unsavory parts just to talk about the parts that support my argument, my political argument, right? That's not even how I operate. The other thing we won't do is we won't erase the structural issues that folks are facing, that folks are contending with. We won't just overlook all of the other issues with this case just because the victim wasn't perfect. And I've said this so many times in so many different ways, and I'm going to keep saying that. I want to underscore what I think the problem is. What I think the problem is with this shooting. We never ever saw the video. In fact, even though I'm telling you that we're going to review the video, we still haven't seen the entire video, right? We won't see that here today. That's number one. Number two, the police kill and shoot with impunity without being transparent. No matter how many times Luther Reynolds takes to the mic and says, hey, we're being transparent, you'll hear it in the video. That's not necessarily true, right? The other thing is de-escalation. Yes, this allegedly, Jason had two guns. And I'm not moving the goalposts. I'm not doing none of that. I'm just keeping it real. You can't trust the police to tell the truth about officer involved shootings. You can't. Like that's something that has made itself clear. That's a truth that's widely held, not just here in Charleston, but throughout the country. We can't keep treating the police reporting of an incident as just pure fact. I don't know why police are given more credibility than other people. And our journalists here in Charleston have to, and everywhere, but journalists have to push back and ask more critical questions about things like this. So this is the reporting from Stephen Garrison. It also has Olivia Diaz here. I think Olivia might have been added later. I didn't see her name up there before. So this is what it says. Body camera video and 911 recordings released by the Charleston Police Department shine new light on a chaotic police shootout December 29th that left a 28-year-old man dead and a rookie officer injured. Jason Cooper of North Charleston died of gunshot wound to the head after police were called to Bridgeview Village Apartments. Bridgeview Village Apartments, y'all, was sold back in February. So after the shooting, this one of the last few remaining bastions of affordable housing was sold back in December, just for context, right? Jason Cooper of North Charleston died of gunshot wound to the head. The police were called to the apartments on 105 North Romney Street, right? And like I said this on Instagram yesterday, I'm not trying to exonerate, I'm not trying to canonize Jason Cooper. I'm trying to tell you that even when these cases get complicated, it's important that we still ask critical questions of the police and that they account for every step they made, every choice they made during this shooting. The police have to account for everything they did, right? So, of course, Jason Cooper was, according to the woman that made the 911 call, Jason Cooper was posing a threat to a family, right? And she called 911. This is a quote, and then I'm going to go to the video and stop talking. "I'm calling for the police because there's someone at my house. A woman told dispatchers in a 911 call released on June 3rd. I need him to leave. He's on probation and parole. I need him out of my peripheral vision. You understand? He is trying to harm me." At no point am I trying to diminish what we see here. At no point am I trying to diminish the real harm that Jason Cooper may have tried to inflict upon this family. I think that's the other part, that we can't hold certain things, at the same time, right? It's not about making him out to be a pure victim. It's about how the police go about neutralizing threats like this. And if they do shoot someone fatally, what does transparency look like following that? And that's the question I've posed since we all caught word of the shooting. Again, this is a content warning. All of this that we're going to discuss right now contains violent images. This is really tender and delicate and sensitive subject matter. But what really blew my mind, I know y'all looking at a black screen, but what really blew my mind about what the police did on June 3rd when they released this video, and I said this on Instagram, they narrated this. So they narrated that what they released was highly redacted, highly edited, and narrated. So now you see what happened through the police point of view, as opposed to just releasing the footage from beginning to end. We see this now as a trend in Charleston. We saw Keith Summy do the same thing with regard to the Jamal Sutherland incident, which was also very edited and also offered narration. Y'all, if that don't make you feel suspicious, if that doesn't leave you with more questions, if that doesn't make you feel rotten inside, I don't know what to tell you. Because to me, instant red flags. But let's play the video.
Hello, I'm Sergeant Elizabeth Wolfson of the Charleston City Police Department's Public Information Office. The following critical incident briefing, including audio, video, and images, to provide details of a recent incident that resulted in an officer-involved shooting. This briefing has been completed so that you may have a better understanding about the circumstances that led to this use of force by officers with the Charleston City Police Department that occurred on December 29, 2020 at approximately 3:12 a.m. at the Bridgeview apartment complex located at 105 North Romney Street. In an effort to provide transparency and allow residents to understand what happened during this incident, this video will provide a synopsis and body-worn camera footage worn by our officers and 911 calls received about the incident. This video contains strong language as well as graphic images which may be disturbing to some people. Viewer discretion is advised. The suspect involved in this incident was identified as Mr. Jason LaTroy Cooper, 28 years of age, of 108 North Romney Street.
So this is where they get tricky. Well, this whole video is very problematic. This entire video is intentionally. Remember, I made some Instagram content months ago about forced perspective. And no, when you think of forced perspective, you might think theme parks and whatnot. But honestly, that phrase is something that I've tried to adopt to what not just the police do here in Charleston, but what a lot of our powerful institutions here tend to do. They tend to reorient you, maybe sometimes even disorient us as citizens, as residents, but they try to reorient our focus so that we're more focused on certain aspects as opposed to the other. So they're about to get into his background, which is newsworthy. Not saying that, but the fact that they framed this shooting, you knowing about his criminal record without any other context, without any other reporting, has nothing to do about how they chose to approach this shooting. Hey, Evelyn. Evelyn says on Twitch, a little thing, but it's notable that they are using a woman officer absolutely to deliver this. I thought about that yesterday when I went live. And I lost my train of thought. Thank you so much, because that just reminded me. Oh, everything in this is intentional, and they love to use the same women officers. I will say this, Evelyn, over the past, but I would say 5-7 years, I've seen them use the same women officers, and the same type of sometimes, and I'm not being sloppy here. Sometimes they use officers who we know are out, who are of the LGBTQ community, because they're on all these different diversity initiatives from the police department. We know that they use that, and they use a certain aesthetic. Like with Wendy Shriver's, I don't know Wendy Shriver's orientation, but it's a certain type of officer they engage to talk about these really difficult issues. Wendy Shriver, who I believe identifies as female, she was brought in to help with the race issue after the audit, right? And now we have this officer breaking down this film in a very, very, I want to underscore, problematic way. Good morning, good morning. Hey, Whiskey Neat. Yeah, Meg, you on the same page? All right. Good. I'm glad we're on the same page.
Mr. Cooper was a convicted felon, and due to the felony convictions, he was a prohibited possessor and was not allowed to carry or own a firearm. On December 29th, 2020, Charleston County Consolidated 911 Dispatch received a call about a disturbance in the Bridgeview apartment complex. This incident occurred very early in the morning at approximately 3:07 a.m. when a subject identified as Mr. Cooper created a disturbance in the area of 105 North Romney.
No one's refuting this either, by the way.
This disturbance involved loud yelling, banging on the resident's door, and threats from the suspect directed at the 911 caller. A resident of that complex first called 911 after becoming frightened by Mr. Cooper's actions.
911, what is the address of the emergency?
Hi, my name is at 105 North Romney Street, apartment. I'm calling for the police because there's someone at my house. I need him to leave. He's on probation and parole, and I need him out of my peripherous vision. You understand? He's trying to harm me. Thank you.
Consolidated Dispatch initially dispatched one CPD patrol officer as a result of the original 911 call. The following is dispatch audio.
Now, this is where it's very interesting. The one officer that they dispatched was a rookie, was inexperienced, this is very, let's keep watching.
From police radio.
Dispatch to 158 additional unit. Respond to 105 North Romney, 105 North Romney apartment. We have a party advising of a male.
Hey, Taisha on Facebook. Hey, Taisha.
The caller also advised that he's trying to harm the caller, and then the caller hung up. No further information. Copy.
While officers were en route to the location, 911 received an additional call from the original caller regarding the incident.
911, what's the address of the emergency?
Hi, I'm fearing for my life. Someone got a gun in front of my door. Please come and help.
What is the address?
At 105. Thank you.
105, what's the street name, ma'am?
Due to the updated information provided by the caller of Mr. Cooper possessing a firearm, which created an increased possibility of danger,
again, the narration, y'all, the trying to orient your focus about this guy posing a threat. I think it goes without saying that this man posed a threat. I think the 911 call speaks for itself. But the Charleston Police Department are making a concerted effort here, y'all, to add another layer of criminality, another layer of danger. Look, I'm not saying that this wasn't a dangerous situation. I'm not saying that Jason Cooper wasn't armed, right? We're saying that the way the police are presenting this to the public, and most of the public will definitely be fine with this. I already know that. I know my followers don't care. A large segment of my followers don't care. They don't see Jason Cooper the same as Jamal Sutherland. And I'm not really here to collect folk about that. Either you get it or you don't at this point. But what I'm trying to I'm keeping a broken record. I know this is very unusual. I need y'all to understand it's unusual. Our laws in the state are set up to protect the police and to bolster any claims that they make without them presenting the complete truth, the complete video. They have not shown us the video, right? They prepped us with the 911 call. Again, we need to know that there was 911 call. It's important to know what the call was said. This is part of the FOIA request that the Post and Courier, Gregory Yee and his colleagues submitted a FOIA request months ago, right at the time of the shooting, to get the 911 call. Not only the 911 call, but the dash cam video and body cam video. I know I keep stopping it, but I just really, y'all have to understand how unusual and how problematic this is, and the way she's framing the 911 call literally, to me, spoke for itself.
Additional officers responded to the scene. This information was relayed to the officers by police radio. This resulted in a total of 5 officers involved in this call for police service.
On route with 158, the complainant is calling back, advising that someone is at their door with a gun, and then disconnected again.
I want to fast forward it a little bit to
the 5 Charleston
to the time.
There was no possible.
I want to fast forward because what she's saying is propaganda anyway, but I want to get to the point where she cues up the actual video of the shooting that they are allowing us to see, portions of the shooting that they are allowing us to see. Again, highly edited, narrated, problematic. If it was a justified shooting, if this man posed this kind of a threat, just let the video rock. Why do you have to tell us what the video says? If that person did everything, was this person, if this person was this much of a threat, this person, was this much of a criminal, why not just show us the video and let us make our own conclusions about the shooting, right?
Possible medical aid that could have been rendered by officers that would have been helpful to the subject. The appropriate course of action at that time was for officers to stand by with the subject until EMS arrived, and officers.
Wait, let me rewind that because it sounds important.
Possessed by Mr. Cooper. Subsequent gunshots heard are from the officers on scene returning gunfire.
Okay, because they're gonna jump right into the gunfire. So this is where I really kind of like lost my shit. So you don't even show us so where's the body cam? And she says it in the video. I don't know if I fast forward past it or not, but she says that the first responding officer's video cam and audio, a video cam, body cam captured the incident, but there was no audio. And then she doesn't even show the audio list video. So that's a problem.
Additionally, you will hear an officer, upon approaching the subject on the ground, exclaim, "He's dead, he's dead," followed by an immediate call requesting EMS. Officers observed the subject lying on the ground unconscious and bleeding with a severe gun.
So now they're trying to convince you that they administered appropriate care for Jason Cooper, which is, come on, we know he's dead. So this is what somebody did as well. Somebody did this as well.
Gunshot wound to the head. For the sake of sensitivity, we've blurred that portion of the video. You will hear an officer state he's still breathing upon seeing a temporary breath-like movement that stopped. Due to the severity of the injuries and observations of the subject's head, there was no possible medical aid that could have been rendered by officers.
Again, we don't know because we ain't seeing it.
That would have been helpful to the subject. The appropriate course of action at that
You know what I'm learning too, like the way she also the way she offers up at one point in this video that there's no audio for the initial responding officer's body cam, and the way she just said that we blurred out that part. You can tell that they recorded her portions before they made their final determination on how much of the video they were going to release, because she's narrating parts that we never get to see. She's telling us parts that we never ever see. Because I think it's only a total of like maybe 5. I can't remember what Stephen from the Post and Courier mentioned, but it's a very, very small amount of video released from the actual incident.
That time was for officers to stand by with the subject until EMS arrived.
Let's see it.
And officers did so.
Let's see it.
In the footage from one of the officers' body-worn camera, you will hear a female screaming. She was later identified as the 911 caller and is observed in one of the videos. Officers can be observed interacting with her after the incident. Finally, viewers are advised that in
Do
one
we
of the
hear
segments,
that?
no audio is initially
Do we
heard.
hear that? Do we hear her say, "Hey, you didn't have to kill him"? Do we hear her say, "Hey, why couldn't you just shoot him?" Like, do we hear what she says? Do we hear her making the appeals for Jason Cooper? Is she screaming before the shots ring out? Like, there's a lot of things, and this is so.
Please note that upon activation of an officer's body-worn camera, 30 seconds of prior video is captured without audio.
There it is.
Once again, due to strong language and graphic images, viewer discretion is advised.
What do we see? Let's see. So this is not the. I want y'all to know there was a singular officer who responded first. They jumped into the squad car of the backup that was called. So this is also important. We're not seeing this at the beginning. This is the first bit of video we see from this highly edited. I don't know even what to call this. So they didn't even give you the first, like, she referenced his body cam footage. She referenced that it had no audio and never, ever, ever played it. Let's keep going, because I do think they jump back and forth though.
Go. No, up right there, right building. This building right here. Hey, he's got a gun. Where?
And again, he's got a gun. Sometimes it feels like police.
He's got a gun.
Okay.
Hey, shots fired. Hey, shots fired, he's down.
We don't know what. Now you hear her screaming in the back. We don't know how it started. They say that Jason Cooper shot first. We don't know that. We don't see that. Evelyn, on Twitch, you say, like, stop trying to convince us you're about, right, you care about life after you shot the man in the head. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Don't move!
You hear her screaming?
Back up! Back up! Back up!
I want to pause again and say, y'all, this is really graphic. This is really, really difficult for me to watch. And what makes it even more difficult for me, not to center myself at all, but I just realized that I just remembered I went to the visual, Elder Johnson led a visual over here following Jason's death. And if I said Jamal earlier, I apologize if I confused those names, Jason and Jamal, but this is where the visual was. And I remember his family and his younger family members in tears. And they made the appeal that he didn't have to die. He didn't have to die. So I'm really kind of shaken up just knowing that I was there where this young man lost his life, knowing how his family cared about him. Yes, they called the police to get him out of the house. Yes. Did they want him to die? Y'all know they didn't. Y'all know they didn't. The other thing that is suspicious about the content that they chose to release is that you show the cops hopping out and starting to shot and saying gun and then firing shots. We only have this vantage point of the backup that was called, not the officer that's already on the scene, the rookie cop. We don't have that vantage point, so we don't know who shot first. And I'm gonna keep it real. I'm not gonna speculate recklessly, but I'm just gonna say Walter Scott. I'm going to say that when Slager wrote his initial report before he knew that Faden Santana was filming him yards away on the side, Officer Slager both planted evidence near Walter Scott and lied in the police reporting about what happened. So if that happened, y'all, Who's to say that that didn't happen with this shooting? Not trying to speculate too recklessly. I'm just saying, haven't we learned that law enforcement doesn't really have an incentive to tell the truth about officer-involved shootings, especially when those officer-involved shootings result in a fatality? I don't believe the police. That I can say without any hedging. I don't trust the police at their word. That's why we thought we were signing in body cam legislation so we can see what you're telling us happened in our neighborhoods. That's why we signed this legislation into law, because we don't trust y'all. Y'all don't tell us the truth. Why do you think this was a big deal for Nikki Haley to sit down with all black lawmakers behind her after Walter Scott? Why do you think that was such a big deal? Because we can't trust the police to tell us the 100% truth about these officer-involved shootings, whether they end in a fatality or not. And why did the GOP, why did our state leadership work so hard to create so many exemptions that actually make it so that cops don't have to release any body cam footage by law? Right? Why aren't some of these body cam programs in certain municipalities, why aren't they funded? The point I'm trying to make is, y'all, they don't want us to know what happened during these shootings. They want to kill with impunity. This is the issue with the Jason Cooper killing, is that we will never know the truth unless something gets leaked to the press. Graphic content, y'all.
I got cover. All right.
Ooh. I cannot watch this. Ooh.
Back up.
Thank you, Taisha.
Let's get a perimeter. All right.
Taisha, you make a great point. It won't let me like your point, but
Like you started eating mess as well.
it won't let me like your comment, but I see you.
Are you hurt?
So now they run into the officer that said that was shot first.
Are you good, Ian? I think I'm good. Relax. Where? You alright, bud?
This is my fucking name tag.
You alright? You good?
We have an officer shot. I'm good. We also have an officer shot. All right.
Here.
We're gonna be in front of 105. Where you heading? Get the key. I got my chest sealed in the car. He's good.
No, he's good.
So Jason Cooper was shot near the building. This officer was shot all the way over in that parking lot. I got questions. Why don't we see the first responding officer's body? Maybe let's see if we do.
He's good.
Just make sure. Get it off. Make sure.
You good, Ian?
Hey, go get the chest seal. Hey,
Come on.
You're good. You're breathing. You're good. We're good. We're good, Ian. You're good, Ian. You're good.
Relax.
All right. Yeah, you got some blood.
All right. Yeah.
Hey, get that chest seal. Yeah.
Pop out the vest.
Yeah.
Pop up if you should.
Recording.
He's in the fucking breezeway. Up top. Go.
Where up top?
Right there.
Hey, he's got a gun.
Again, starting with, that's just another officer in the same squad car where we started off before.
Where?
Evelyn, to your point, exactly. You worried about the officer who's I get it, showing concern for the officer who allegedly took a round in his vest. And I'm just gonna keep saying allegedly till whatever, right? But yeah, administer aid to the actual man you shot and killed. How about that?
Lay down. Don't move. Please don't move. He's down, man down. Hey, secure. No. Get back. Back up. Hey, I got cover.
This is blood curdling. This is blood curdling.
He's dead. Fuck. Yeah, let's get a perimeter.
All right. Do medical.
Hey, he's still breathing.
Hey, has he been cleared?
Oh, fuck, dude. He's shooting us with a rifle.
Again.
SV's hit. SV's hit. SV's hit. SV's hit. You got shot with the rifle.
I hear a bystander.
Fuck, man.
See, now they edited it, and now you just saw a crossfade or something, right? So this the other camera. Again, it's like, I want to say, is it 3 or 4 other officers that came after the first responder? I want to see if they show the rookie's camera footage ever. To me, the critical moments, one of the most critical moments is when... Recording. You see how they just turned that on? Oh, did y'all hear that?
Back up.
That sound like they turned it on, actively turned it on. Listen.
Recording.
What that sound like?
Yo, back up.
Get back.
Come on. I know. Stop. Stop.
Police, please,
Yeah,
police.
you're fine.
Police,
You're fine.
please.
Stop.
Police.
Come back here.
Police, please. Police, look at me.
Why they cut that off? Again, she did reference 30 seconds of audio. And Bennett is not the officer that's the first officer to show up. So we see the names of the officers at the bottom of the screen. This is not the first one. Again, no audio. Why don't they have this on?
Recording.
Does it come on when certain actions?
Don't move! No, back up.
Oh wow, I never saw that. So the woman that, I think the woman that called 911, she's on the ground. Did y'all see that in the bottom right hand side of the screen?
No, back up.
Look. Okay, so they're yelling back up to her, and then she drops to the ground.
He's got a rifle.
I got cover.
All right.
Okay, so that's where she was. I didn't notice her.
Back up.
Okay, so that's her right there.
Yeah, let's get a perimeter.
All right. Hey.
Very callous.
Are you hurt?
No aid administered. Going right to the cop.
Ashby. I think I'm good. Where?
Yeah, we never see. Well, let's see.
You good? We have an officer shot. 123 dispatch.
So everyone ran over here
in the chest. We're gonna be in front of 105 North Romney. He's good. It hit off his name tag. Okay. Just make sure. Get it off.
So they all acknowledged there was some kind of signs of life
in the ignition.
with Jason, but went to administer aid to their own.
Ashby. You're good.
Yeah, Meg, I see you. I don't know, Evelyn.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Oops, I didn't mean to do that. So guys, this is the, let me rewind it a little bit. This is the officer that was the first one on the scene. Not Bennett.
123 dispatch. We also have an officer shot in the chest. We're going to be in front of 105 North Romney. He's good. It hit off his name tag. Okay. Just make sure. Get it off. Make sure. You good, Ian? Hey, go get the chest seal.
Yeah.
Where the keys? In the ignition.
And Evelyn, I don't know if cops, I would assume cops are trained to do CPR, right? Right? Preserve and protect. No aid, whiskey neat. Yep. Meg, this is tough. Right. And they want to cut off the only video we have of someone humanizing him. Right?
We're good. Wait here. We're good, Ian. You're good, Ian. Ashby.
You're good, Ian. You're good, Ian.
All right.
Now it's okay. This is the name, y'all, of the officer. This is the first responding officer. I can't pronounce his last name. I'm not going to butcher it. Why don't we see his footage from his body cam? We haven't even seen any dash cam footage from any of these squad cars, and that car was unmarked, right? The other police car was unmarked. We haven't seen dash cam yet, and we haven't seen Ian, the officer that was allegedly hit. We haven't seen his body cam footage to see how he engaged Jason Cooper.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Or how he was engaged by Jason.
I don't think so.
Are you good, Ian?
I think I'm good.
Relax. Where?
He's a rookie. Remember that. He's a rookie. That matters.
I'm good. I'm good.
All right, here. All right, no.
We're gonna be in front of one.
Where you heading?
Okay. All right.
Just make sure. Get it off. Make sure. Hey, go get the chest seal. Hey, where's the key?
Where's the audio where this officer here is saying he has a gun? I'm seeing a suspect outdoors with a gun. I'm seeing it. Where's that audio? Where's all that where he's calling for backup? Was that released?
A total of 4 CPD officers fired their duty weapons during this encounter.
4.
3 of the responding backup officers fired their department-issued handguns, as did the initial responding officer, who fired after he sought cover after being struck by the suspect's gunfire. 12 rounds were fired at the suspect as he fired upon the officers. The subject, Mr. Cooper, was struck 2 times by return gunfire from police officers. The entire incident, from the arrival of the first officer on scene and the first gunshot fired by Mr. Cooper until he was shot, lasted approximately 27 seconds. Officers immediately requested Charleston Fire Department and paramedics to the scene for emergency medical treatment for Mr. Cooper.
Oh, right.
Unfortunately,
I didn't hear
he
that.
was pronounced deceased at the scene by arriving paramedics. The
That
following
was
is a photo
strange,
of the weapon
Evelyn.
utilized by Mr. Cooper as he fired upon the officers. Mr. Cooper also had a second weapon in his possession. Both weapons, a Draco 7.62 AKL pistol and a Walther 9mm semi-automatic pistol, were located next to Mr. Cooper after he fell to the ground. Both were loaded with ammunition. The Charleston Police Department conducts very thorough use of force investigations regarding every officer-involved shooting incident.
No, they don't.
This incident
That's a
was
lie.
the subject of 2 separate investigations. The
So
South
that's
Carolina
it.
Law Enforcement Division
Like, I don't
conducted
wanna
an
listen to
independent
any
criminal
more.
investigation regarding the officer's action.
Y'all can go to YouTube and watch the rest of the propaganda. I'm gonna hop back over to the reporting from Steven at the Post and Courier. Yeah, this is so many more questions. A single officer was initially dispatched for the report, according to Charleston Police Sergeant Elizabeth Wolfson, who we just saw in the video. But 4 more officers were sent after the woman called a second time and said she feared for her life. Someone has a gun in my front door. We heard that from the 911 call. I'm going to scroll down. The city released body camera footage from the 5 officers dispatched shooting. In the video, the sound of the gunshots rings out at 3:13 a.m. The sound that we can hear. Remember, audio was interrupted at certain times. We heard at least 2 times from 2 officers the recording feature initiated. We heard that verbally, or we heard that not verbally because it's not a real person, but you know what I'm saying. All right, in the video, 3:13 seconds after 4 officers arrive at the apartment complex in a squad car, Officer John Wall ducks for cover behind the building in the complex as others offer return fire from behind their vehicle, recordings indicate, right? Shots fired, he's down, Wall said. About 10 seconds later, officers rushed to Cooper's body as a woman later identified as the 911 caller screams nearby. We saw her drop to the pavement, right? And we also were trying to hear her humanize Mr. Cooper. Cooper, dressed in white, is prone on the sidewalk. We saw that, unfortunately. Wall pushes a rifle away from his body. Didn't see that clearly, but I heard it a little bit and saw the motion, right? I also think these officers are very their cameras, I think they're very aware of their cameras when they're recording, and it felt like the cameras really weren't pointed in a direction of where some of the action was coming from. In some instances, I'm not trying to be overly critical, but there was some instances where, like, I can hear them kick away what sounds like a gun, but don't see it, and I think that's interesting. Right, perimeter wall pushes the rifle away from the body. Officer calls for the perimeter to be established. Amid chaos, officers seemed momentarily unaware that of their own had been shot. And that's, I'm gonna say SD. I think they call him Ian. I'm gonna call him Officer Ian. All right. The first officer on the scene was shot by Cooper from a breezeway. I'm gonna say allegedly because we don't know. All right. Wilson said it in the video though. In the video, he's shown in the parking lot holding his chest. Again, we never see his video. We never hear his audio. We never see the first responding officer, this rookie. We never see their dash cam footage either. We're just dropped right in the middle of this chaotic incident. Right? Officer Ian lies on the sidewalk after being shot during a domestic violence call. This is what the caption says, right? All right. Then he says he thinks he's good. We heard that. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. They said he was shot in a vest, a ballistic vest protecting him from the gunshot. All right, 4 officers fired 12 rounds at Cooper, striking him twice, Wilson said. Cooper possessed 2 deadly weapons, the Draco and the Walther, right? All right, the Charleston County Coroner's Office reported that Cooper was pronounced dead of gunshot wounds at 3:24 a.m. in North Romney. Yeah, the solicitor, Scarlett Wilson, said she wasn't going to charge the officers. We already knew that. Wilson said June 3rd, an internal investigation determined the officers followed the police department's protocols. The 5 officers involved in the fatal shooting were Officer Grant Mattingly, Robert Bennett, John Wall, Nicholas Jones. I don't know why they didn't put John Wall's name here, but John Wall, Nicholas Jones, and then Ian. I can't pronounce it, y'all. I don't want to mess it up. Here it is about the officer, that first responding officer. Officer Ian had 1 year of service that December. Not only, so I shouldn't call him a rookie, but 1 year of service that December, and only about a month of which involved full patrol duties. And I remember reading that in the initial reporting from Gregory Yee, about 30 days of patrol experience. All right. Officer Ian has had no complaints, again, relatively new to the force, so that makes sense. Right? Bridgeview Village was built in 1971 as Bayside Manor. The 50-year-old complex holds 300 apartments and has a history of criminal violence. This is some bullshit framing. Has a history of criminal violence from the early 2000s. I wonder what started happening in the early 2000s. If it's been there since the 70s, I wonder what started happening in the early 2000s. I wonder what happened around that time. I wonder what's happening economically. I wonder what's happening socioeconomically in Charleston around that time. I got some answers, right? And in February, the complex sold to a nonprofit company that plans to both renovate the complex. You know what that means. They're going to be displaced. Look, like I said, this is not about making Jason Cooper an angel. This is about demanding accountability. We still don't know the whole truth. This trend that SUMI and now CPD are trying to initiate, where they narrate and they get to dictate to us what we're seeing, as opposed to merely releasing the video, releasing every officer's body-worn camera footage. Release every officer's body-worn camera footage. If it was a justified shooting, if everything was above board, if Jason Cooper initiated shooting, if nothing crazy was said to agitate anyone, show us. Let us see it. And the fact that they didn't, and then they released this with this narration and with these edits, leaves me with more questions. Evelyn, and on Twitch you say department issue. We knew about that, right? When she was narrating, when Wolfson was offering narration, the specificity is really interesting. But also knowing that she's speaking because they're also trying to avoid any type of, like, I guess, criminal action. Evelyn, you also said super shady. They only show the responding officer's cam after the backup officers arrive. It really makes me suspicious, and it should make y'all suspicious too. Like I said, there was a troll on Instagram saying that he was shooting a machine gun at him. I don't know if we ever got a clear picture. I don't know if we ever got a clear indication as to, like, how many rounds Jason Cooper let off. We know that the one Officer Ian, and right, this is the troll right here, which I think is just like probably a white. I think this looks real suspicious. Let's see when the date is on some of these posts. Yeah, very suspicious. Probably a troll account. Probably just took pictures of random people, right? saying all this crazy stuff. Probably just took somebody else's images. But this person, and this is, but honestly, why I'm showing y'all this is not because I like to engage trolls, because this is the arguments that I've been hearing from people who identify as liberal. This is some of the arguments, or not arguments, but some of the conversations in my DMs I've had since Jason Cooper was killed, and since I referred to it as a lynching. What police murder? Ha ha. They were defining themselves. I guess he meant defending. Go to the hood and stop black on black murders, you clowns. So that right there, that just sounds like a troll. It's probably a white person who's very pro police. But that's what you hear. Not necessarily calling me a clown, but there's some people say they came out busting at cops with AK. They didn't come out. We don't know if they came out busting at cops with an AK-47. That's actually not clear. But that's some of the arguments I've been hearing regarding the shooting. I will also say, I'm gonna go back to the reporting. I will also say I called one of the reporters with this story. I always call him Steve Garrison. I called Steve Garrison yesterday, and Steve responded. He returned my call, and we had a very brief but substantive conversation. I won't divulge too much about our conversation, but I will say that what Steve did offer is that the video being edited and redacted in some ways left the reporters with some questions for the police. I'll say that. So it sounds as if, from what Steve was willing to offer me, it sounds as if they too were puzzled as to why this type of narrated, edited, and redacted video was released following a FOIA request that was very specific about what they wanted to see from either the body worn camera or the 911 call and the also dash cam footage. To my knowledge, I don't know if y'all saw any. I didn't see any dash cam footage, right? And I don't hear Wolfson really talk about, maybe she did, about the unmarked vehicle that responded with the backup with the other officers. A total of 5 officers were involved in this shooting, yet we only see the body worn camera footage from the 4 officers who did not initiate, who did not come and respond first, right? So that leaves me with so many questions. But again, according to Steve Garrison at the Post and Courier, he and his colleagues were also puzzled by this decision by CPD to release this very narrated, very edited, very redacted video. And I think any journalist worth their salt would definitely question how this content, and I'm going to refer to it as content, how this content was released. Very disheartening. And again, I probably could have did more to put a trigger warning on this video. I will do that in post, but I really difficult to watch, difficult to see this man's body not receive aid immediately, even though they say they did administer aid immediately. I didn't see that. We saw the officers rush to Officer Ian, and there was some signs like, look, he was shot in the head. I understand how that was supposedly the fatal shot, but we don't know because they didn't administer aid, and there's not much information about his vitals and what they observed in terms of his body after they engaged him in gunfire. There's so many questions. Pardon me, so many questions. Oh boy. Let me drink something. I want to hop over. This is just a really awkward turn, y'all. I acknowledge it. Look, we talked about an officer involved shooting, but the other news that broke this week, and I covered this on Thursday, along with, Evelyn's interview. We talked about major news regarding Mia McLeod and her run for governor. Excuse me. I wanted to take time to cover that here as well. So awkward turn, but I need to cleanse my palate, quite literally and figuratively, from that police violence. I also first want to get to Mia's announcement. I was going to show y'all the weather. Yesterday's weather was bananas. Yo, part of me is like, yo, y'all want to gentrify? Let me just say that real quick. Y'all want to gentrify Charleston so bad? Have it, because look what y'all causing. Like, that rain was significant, but yesterday, y'all, did y'all see? I stayed on Charleston, Twitter. This is banana. This don't even look like our country. If I just looked at, I'm trying, I can't show y'all, but if I just crop this video to see the palm trees And this is bananas. And yeah, y'all build another fucking hotel and see what the fuck happens. That's how I feel. Shout out to Charleston Weather and shout out to everybody else. Shout out Fernando. That's whose page I want to go to. Fernando was covering it. Fernando lives near this area, so I know Fernando and his entire media outlet was able to capture these crazy images. Look at this. This is King Street, where King Street meets Line. Look at that. This looks like an ocean. I don't know if I've seen it this bad. What you say, Evelyn? People stop trying to drive through floodwater. And Evelyn, I'm trying to understand, like, does it come so fast that you just you coming back from Trader Joe's and you trying to get home? Like, I would never drive through this mess. I think I showed this one already. Let me see. No, let's show this one. Shout out Fernando. This is crazy. Let's do this one. Look at this. So even if I leave my car there parked, look at this. That's on the east side. Keep building these hotels, though. Keep building these hotels. This is, oh wow, look at Columbus. Big old fancy new hotel. This Columbus. What's this, Columbus and Meeting, right? Yeah, y'all keep building these damn hotels and whatnot. You keep doing things, and you know what they're gonna do. They're gonna find a mitigation tactic where they pump water from here to the hood. That's what they're gonna do. It's crazy. Let me look at the chat over here on Twitch. It never used to flood. Evelyn, you live downtown. I didn't mean put your business out there. You don't live there now. And I won't say, but you have experience as a resident downtown. Evelyn, as a non-resident downtown, don't remember that. It looks like Miami. It do look like Miami, Johnny James, right? It's gotten so much worse. Thank you, Elizabeth. Like, I swear to God, I've never seen it like this. I've never seen Meeting in Columbus look like that. Now, so you telling me whenever I see rain on the forecast, I'm not going anywhere downtown. I'm not driving anywhere downtown. Like we really have to have emergency planning if weather, and we're in hurricane season, so we already feel the swampiness and the humidity. So we just can't go downtown now when it rains. All right, your garbage friend, you say it hits the whole city, especially the east side. Then our tax dollars go to fixing the battery. Right, exactly. The mitigation measures taken will prioritize the crown jewel. So, all the monuments, where the monuments are, the French Quarter, the Battery, Rainbow Row, all of that will be prioritized. And then we'll see some stuff like just, like if you ever go to Back to Green, and I captured this years ago, you go to Back to Green during a flood storm, you'll see these pumps and this water just gushing from, you don't even know where the pump starts, but the water is just being released in Back to Green into the housing projects area, and like you're left thinking like, how the hell, what's going on? But yeah, that was wild yesterday. I never go downtown when it rains, not even to get in across town to go down to Mount Pleasant or anything like that, because I'm fearful. Now I'm even more fearful, because if this was just Columbus and King and Line Street, Lord only knows what north of Morrison looked like. Lord only knows where that part of Meeting Street, where you're going to Mount Pleasant from Meeting Street. Lord knows what that area looks like. That one where they have those new apartments or condos, Lord knows what that looked like yesterday, right? So that's that. Let me just look at my notification. I haven't been on Twitter in like an hour or so. Yeah. Oh, shout out to people really responding to this tweet. For me, my little account, the significant engagement. Yeah, Charleston, y'all, and I know people gonna push back like, oh, this was important. It's important that they raise this flag. It's important. My response, my response is just like, look, the truth of the matter is recent reporting from outlets like NPR make another argument. And I think what happens here when tourists come here, oh, hold on. Let me see what you said, Evelyn. That's exactly it. I've canceled appointments if it rains in the forecast. Absolutely. Yep, you get stuck on a crosstown. Absolutely. Thank you for validating that. But as I switch gears over to this abruptly, I think what I like to push back on it, and I actually do enjoy this. I don't give a damn what people call me of trolling. I love pushing back on the notion that Charleston is this like liberal progressive bastion. I've heard Joe Cunningham be called progressive. I think the city paper had him listed, or he was voted as the most progressive activist or some bullshit. Charleston is not progressive. Charleston is not liberal. Charleston is not this rainbow society where LGBTQ issues are prioritized. It's not. And while I just showed a little screenshot of what life in Charleston may be for members of the LGBTQ community, specifically youth, this is me pushing back on that narrative. And this is something that we need to interrogate more, especially with these nonprofits and our city's institution. Look, I'm not saying that the city hasn't prioritized things like trying to create hate crimes. I'm not saying that the city hasn't tried to acknowledge the LGBTQ community. What I will say is that acknowledgement is not analysis, right? And performative gestures like flying a flag is not policy and actually doesn't lead to real change. And what it does is just virtue signal. And so I'm pushing back on that. And I hope people understand. I think most people dig it. I'm pushing back on that, that thing that they're trying to uphold, like this is some sort of like really free and open society. And I'm trying to see my girl Vanity she responded to yeah, here we go. Vanity, shout out Vanity doing her thing in North Carolina. Vanity added some context as well to my tweet. This is exactly the state-sanctioned violence that leads to queer youth all across the South, disproportionately impacted by social determinants. I love this. I'm telling you, I cannot wait to be Vanity's executive assistant. Cannot wait to get Vanity their coffee, their tea, plan their manicures. I want that. This is my retirement plan, is to work for Vanity. That's my retirement. I want to be a retiree that doesn't retire. I just want to be that old, trustworthy, old, gray-haired woman that works for these brilliant black minds. Lack of understanding of their identity, familial rejection, housing insecurity and homelessness, substance abuse. It's all very connected. And if you follow Vanity, if you know Vanity's work, you know that she knows of what she speaks. She is all about that, and I'm just so impressed and in awe, and I'm so happy that she offered additional context, because it's not this liberal bastion here, no matter how much Charleston. I saw it in some publication that Charleston, I think I saw the police refer to Charleston as the progressive city, and I think what it is y'all, for those who think it's progressive, I understand. You like the bars, my neighbors. You like the bar scene. Maybe a little lubricated and you feel a little loosey-goosey and it's fun downtown. Downtown is not Charleston. Downtown is not representative of any of the real values here in the city. Downtown is not representative. That culture of partying and having a good time and Instagram and Instagrammable, streets laden with the vestiges of slavery, all of that is not really indicative of what it really means or what it really feels like to live here in Charleston, especially if you're a member of a marginalized community. So I love jabbing the city. The city can afford a jab or two. They're a formidable. They're a formidable. I won't call them opponent, but this is just rainbow washing, and this is just virtue signaling. So professed values versus actually practice values. And we can talk about how like LGBTQ community. To me here in Charleston, and I identify as cisgendered and I am heterosexual. I just brought up my gender, but I know that gender, and I get it. I'm just I'm cisgendered, and also I am I'm all out of focus. I'm cisgendered and I am heterosexual. So I want to be careful on how I weigh into this conversation as well. But I will say this. I will say that my observations as someone outside of the community is that when we need to really view some of these issues within the LGBTQ community, it feels like white voices, white members of the LGBTQ community are the voices that are engaged most, and sometimes they're white male voices that are engaged most, and it's that perspective through which a lot of the problems are approached, and I think that's problematic. Again, that's my observation, but I don't want to dance to family music if it, but that's my observation. Evelyn, you went on to say, let's see, right, let's talk about how many trans women have been murdered and then dead named, misgendered in the press. Hello. I mean, you don't even got to reach back. You don't even got to reach back far to see that type of violence perpetrated against the trans community here in Charleston and in the extended Low Country area, and how we still can't pass hate crime laws. Hello, come on. So yeah, I like jabbing the city. You should jab the city too. Make them better. Let them know that you're more. Let them know that you're more well versed on these issues than they are. Let them know that. And how they know? By jabbing them a little bit, right? I want to get to, I saw Caitlin Bird's name pop up. I want to get to some of her reporting on Mia McLeod. But as y'all know, Mia McLeod, she officially launched her bid to run for governor. Y'all know I love breaking down ads, and I love breaking down all of it, the campaign brands and everything. I'm going to say this. Okay, this was a crop picture from a bigger, probably a larger branded asset. Not mad. I think it's soft, but not overly feminine. I saw the color choices. Let's just get into her ad though. We got to remember how we broke down Tamika Devine's ad? She's running for mayor of Columbia. Let's break this down. So I'm going to increase this. I don't know why. Okay, I'm going to increase this. And I am going to rewind it. I don't mind the font choice. This is different in some political ads. A little soft, a little curly, in terms of the font choice. But let's let it go. Let's take a look. Bennettsville. Bennettsville is where she is from.
This is Bennettsville, South Carolina, a place so neglected by so many for so long that some even call it
the corridor of shame.
It's the place where I was born. It's the place that shaped me. And the truth is, all across South Carolina, we share similar stories. Stories of love, of faith, of defying the odds. But far too often, across this state, we also share stories of struggle and neglect because politicians have forgotten about all but those who agree with them or fund their campaigns. Fixing what's broken is all of our responsibility.
Oh, look at Emmy.
That's why I first ran for the legislature.
That's why I'm gonna shout my friend now. That's my girl Emmy. I already like the ad now. Go ahead, Emmy.
Of our responsibilities. That's why I first ran for the legislature. I've been fighting for parents who, like me, dream of a better future for our children.
Is that her daughter?
With quality education and great paying jobs, so we can keep our best and brightest here. For women, so we can control our own healthcare decisions. And for families.
Come on.
So we can stay safe and healthy without emptying our
healthcare and education. I hear you.
And why I take on the fights the old guard runs away from. I come from a long line of servant leaders, going as far back as my great-great-grandfather. My name is Mia McLeod. I'm running for governor to build a South Carolina that can work for all of us, to bring new jobs to our state, and to support the people and the industries that are the backbone of our economy, especially our farmers and small businesses, so we can keep our best and brightest right here, where our jobs pay enough to keep our families secure, to ensure that our state is never again brought to the brink when a disaster hits. These are the new stories that can define us, the new victories we can share. This is our stories we can share.
Okay, that looks like her
This is our South Carolina, and together we can create the state we all deserve. That's why I'm running for governor. and why I need you to join me.
I like it. Let's talk about the ad. What I think she did really, really well, I think. So we already saw where Drew McKissick. We saw how Drew McKissick responded to Crystal Matthews' bid for senator. We also saw Drew McKissick poo-poo and dismiss and brush off Mia's announcement to run for governor. He asserted that Democrats are always wrong on the issues, and I think that this, while she's not responding to Drew McKissick, like she wouldn't like lower herself to respond to Drew McKissick directly. She got surrogates for that. She got people for that. But what I think she did offer a rebuttal to Drew McKissick, who makes the argument that she's on the wrong side of issues. Look, this is a red state. This is a red state, and the tide of power won't turn until we have some big fundamental shifts at local areas. What I'm saying is that this is a tough race to run, but one thing you can't hang on her is that she just outlined and framed the issues expertly. She already told you, and she's going to go on, and we're going to go to the press conference next. She's telling you that she's big on education. She's telling you that she does have commerce, and she has, jobs at the forefront of her political mind. She's showing you multicultural, that she's not just a black candidate for black people. What I think she did so well, and Mia, if you're watching this, but this ain't for Mia. If Mia comes on this platform and I do get a chance to interview Mia, that will be a very, very tasteful interview. Hey, Crystal on Facebook. But I'm gonna curse right now. I'm gonna curse right now, so I'm not speaking like whatever, but Mia made the case of why she's unfuckwittable. Because you're going to try to other her. They're going to try to other her. They're going to try to make her the scary black woman who's with all the blackity black things. You're not going to do it easily. She's wearing the pearls. She's from here. She is firmly from here. She done showed you her daddy picture, her granddaddy picture, her great granddaddy picture. She is from here. So when it comes to them trying to impugn her integrity or try to ding her on like whether she's really for South Carolina, whether she's invested, she's from here. And I think that also some of the color choices, this is just me, this is the shit I love to do. The color choice and the font choice suggests a softness that I think is appropriate for Mia. I think when you see Mia, the first impression you get is this is a striking and attractive black woman. You can tell she's a black woman of a certain age, but she feels vivacious. She feels like she's still vital and youthful. I hate to bring age into this, but I'm just giving you my impression, right? I think that anybody should run for office, whether you're 60 or whether you're 26 or whatever the rules or laws are. But I'm saying that I think she conveys vitality. I think she definitely communicates to me put together, professional, and a firm grasp of the issues. And I think it was a well done ad. I think it was a great ad. I think especially the family history part. Huge. I think that's huge. So now what I want to do is I want to go to thank you for the I want to go to a recent tweet. So this is from an hour ago. All right, enough is enough. South Carolina needs new leadership now. Governor McMaster has taken nearly $600 million away from our families and the economy by refusing to accept hundreds of millions in COVID relief funding from D.C. And that's I'm sure that's including the expansion of Medicaid. She goes on as one more tweet underneath here. As your next governor, I love this. So not just a clap back, but this is what I'm going to do. This is my solution. If you don't learn anything, people come at Elizabeth Warren a lot about everything. She literally had a plan for everything. She didn't just say, hey, this is my analysis of the issue. She said, hey, this is what my team and I came together with. This is the plan. So as your next governor, I will never leave struggling South Carolinians to fend for themselves, and points to the website. Brilliant. I know that wasn't specific, but look, she's been giving you the rebuttal to the, wow. It's for our own good. Oh, I guess that's saying about McMaster. She's been clapping back at McMaster a lot, and I hate to use the word clap back because I don't want people to think that she's just been a Twitter troll. No, she's actually been giving a thoughtful rebuttal to a lot of McMaster's mistakes and decision making, and I think it's very important. I want to get to her. Let's go to YouTube. And this was the 11 o'clock a.m. What was that, Thursday or Friday morning? Thursday morning she came out. This is what I think she knocks out the park. Y'all, being intentional. I'm gonna mute it real quick. Oh boy, here come Trav. Here come coattail riding Trav. Cornball. I'm gonna scare off any candidate that I want to talk to. I think I'm within my right to criticize Trav. I think his track record is garbage. But of course, because this is a historic bid for governor, of course he's going to position himself. He and Brady did this like no other. Brady from down here in Charleston. They love positioning themselves whenever a prominent black woman or something history making is going to occur. They love to position themselves if it's convenient, especially if it's in Columbia. Trav is gonna be there. So here comes Trav. Back to what I was really going to say. Intentionality matters, right? Intentionality matters. Where she held this press conference, who she has next to her, matters. So let's play it.
The South Carolina Democratic Party, it's my job to come in.
Man, I would have had a woman speak. I just would have been, if I was Trav, I just would have been in the background and let somebody else in the party speak.
And talk just a little bit about our state.
Ugh.
The fact is that we have more registered women in South Carolina than we do any other member of our electorate. 55.5% of the registered voters in this state are women.
So why you ain't running more?
Last year, we had right under 1.4 million women cast ballots in the state of South Carolina. That's 300 to 350,000 more women than men voted in this state. It is a growing demographic, and you are seeing in this state that women are demanding that their voices be heard. But as chairman of this party, it is our job.
Right, Evelyn. Let's hear from the women then. Women are such a big deal. Let's hear from the women, Trav. Like, you literally could have had, there's so many prominent Democratic leaders from throughout the whole state, y'all, that y'all might not hear about, but they name ring bells. Whether it's the Midlands, whether it's upstate, there's so many amazing women that he could have just, he could have positioned in front of his mic, and then that woman could have included in her address when Trav asked me to offer up my comments. That's what you could have did. If you want to still be in the mix, we don't need to hear from you. And men never get out of their own way. I'm telling y'all, the older I get, the more I get it. Like, men cannot resist the spotlight. And to me, this is a black woman. This is a historic bit. And I'm sure Mia asked him to be there or asked him some support from the state party. I'm sure. I'm not trying to remove Mia's agency and say that she didn't have any input with this event. But what I've seen, again, from Brady and Trav specifically and expertly, is that they tend to never offer up a different type of assistance where they take less of the spotlight and they promote women. And it's really just like, come on, like, dude, nobody wants. We heard how you talk about your candidates, right? The Democrats run shitty elections, right? Run shitty campaigns. That's what you said, shitty campaigns. We heard how you talk about your Dems. Now you're the biggest cheerleader.
I have to make sure that we create a primary process that is fair and equitable to everyone who enters. And I'm here to tell you today that we are going to see one of the most exciting gubernatorial.
And what he could have did, I just want to fast forward by him. There's nothing that he can say that I really want to hear. Yeah, pass the mic to a woman. All right. I'm trying to fast forward. The other thing that Trav didn't mention is how black women, you mentioned how many women are registered to vote here in South Carolina. Did you mention how black women help to break records in this state? Did you mention how black women organize and have this blueprint? And thank God to Mia and her team for staging this this launch, this announcement. I believe that the Majeska Simpkins house. Y'all know I'm a big fan of Majeska Simpkins, iconic black woman in all of history, but Black history here in South Carolina. Very, very strong message being sent by having her announcement here. But you can't talk about Black women running for office in this state without nodding to and referencing the history, the rich history of not just Majeska Simpkins, but the Black Women's Club movement that took place here, and how Black women literally shaped, especially around the Civil Rights era, literally shaped the political landscape for Democrats, for the modern version of the Democratic Party. You can't talk about that. You can't run for governor and not have nod to that history. And so I'm happy to see the McLeod campaign at least doing that and being very thoughtful about where they launched the campaign, for sure.
Patel to say a few words. Our leader.
Good morning, everybody. As you know, Senator Mia McLeod is a good friend of mine, for y'all that don't know, but I have the awesome privilege to not just be her pastor, but just a spiritual mentor in her life. She is an incredible, incredible woman of faith. She asked me to just bless the crowd and just to bless this moment before she gets ready to come forth and before we get ready to introduce her. So if you guys can just do me a favor and just be in agreement with me.
Thank you, Evelyn. I see you.
Can we do that today? Okay. Amen. Father, we just thank you for this moment, God. Father, we thank you that what you bless, let no man curse. Father, we thank you, Lord God, that you have called this day before the foundation of the earth. We declare that she will go forth in.
Amen, y'all. Amen. 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 Hallelujah. Glory be. I had to fast forward a little bit. Look at me. Okay, entrance.
Thank you. Good morning.
Oh, we got Mandy. Look at Mandy.
Thanks. Big thanks to all of you for taking the time to be with us here this morning. For those of you who may not know why, we've chosen to be here.
That's right.
At the home of the late civil rights activist Majeska Monteith Simpkins.
Come on.
It's because I used to visit here with my dad when I was a college student.
This is real. This is real emotion too.
At the University of South Carolina.
I know fake emotion when I see it, Nikki Haley.
The two of them would sit in the living room and on the porch for hours sometimes, talking about the struggles and the challenges facing people of color when it came to equity in education and healthcare. She fearlessly and unapologetically fought for racial equality and advanced the causes of working people and those who were underrepresented so that they too would have a voice and a reason to hope for a brighter South Carolina. I had no idea then that Miss Majeska's causes would one day become my own. I'm State Senator Mia McLeod.
Come on.
And I'm a 5th generation South Carolinian.
Okay.
Born and raised right here. And I've never left.
There you go.
In spite of the fact
that's really important here in South Carolina.
The state of my hometown county is indicative of the true state of our state under Governor McMaster's failed leadership.
There you go.
When my great-grandfather moved his family from Columbia to Bennettsville in 1914 to start our family business, I believe it was because he saw the promise and dared to do something different. That's why ours is one of South Carolina's oldest Black family-owned funeral homes that's still in business 107 years later.
Come on.
For generations, my family has chosen to stay here because when you love our state as much as we do, You're able to look beyond.
You know what I'm thinking, y'all? I wonder how many other Mia McLeods are in this state. It gotta be a few, and that's the thing where that's where I really get critical of the Democratic Party, because I know that there are more than one Mia McLeod, and even if they didn't stay here, because I think people put too much of that whole nativist spin on a lot of things, put too much of a value on being a native that stays here the whole time. Because let me tell you, living in South Carolina is difficult. It can be very difficult for a number of people. But I know that there are people who have returned. I know of people like myself who've been part of a reverse migration trend who have returned to South Carolina, and I know there are so many Black women who've come back to this state. Hell, even if you're not a native, but you know, some really amazing Black women leaders have made South Carolina their home for whatever reason. And I know that she's not an exception. I know that she is actually indicative of a larger base of Black women that have yet to be courted, that have yet to be engaged thoughtfully by our Democratic leadership. We have emerged in other types of political incubators, if you will, but I don't see enough of this caliber candidate. And I also want to preface this, because y'all know I don't stand any politician. Yes, I acknowledge that Mia McLeod is a former lobbyist. That's not, that ain't my favorite trait. But I'm talking about what I'm responding to in Mia, in her rollout, in her announcement, in her choice of announcement location. What I'm responding to so favorably is that she's a serious and she's a real candidate. She is a high caliber candidate, and that's what we want and that's what we need, especially if you're a Black woman. She and Tamika Devine are not perfect. They are not perfect. You will not ever hear me come up here and tout their perfection. But what you will see me do is comment on how seriously I think they're approaching their candidacy, and how intentional they are about lots of decisions that they make as they run for office. So as Tamika Isaac Devine, as she runs for mayor of Columbia, and that in itself is another historic race, right? And this historic race that's already garnering national attention. Her comms team is already on it. I think that these are things that these are things to be celebrated. Like, these are high caliber candidates, and this is what you want to see. And hopefully this encourage other women to step forth, other Black women, natives to this state, to step forth. I will say this. I'm getting AKA vibes. I'm getting a little AKA vibe. So I really do hope that, and I've already seen some things that suggest that she's going to be extraordinarily thoughtful about who are her surrogates, who does she speak to in the press. We want to make sure we see women that look as dark as me. And this is my channel. This is what I center. We want to make sure we see women with hair like mine, and women as dark as me, and women from the rural areas. We want to see them right next to Mia, right next to Tamika Isaac Devine, right next to any candidate running for office. We want to see Black women that run the spectrum. We want this to feel inclusive and make sure that Black women are heard. And I just leave it at that. Not just the old Black women, the young, vivacious chocolate drops that are out here killing it on campuses and so on and so forth. That's all I'll offer. I'm trying to hit play.
On her challenges, to see her possibilities, and fight like hell to help her reach her true potential. Sadly, because of decades of desertion and neglect, we're losing so many of our best and brightest to neighboring states that offer higher paying jobs, opportunities for a better quality of life.
Couldn't have said it better.
And leadership that actually cares about and caters to the needs of all of the people. That's something South Carolina hasn't had in decades, of Republican governors who care only about their base and have no real connection to or compassion for the rest of us. So when my boys, both recent college graduates, tell me that this state, our state, under Republican control, doesn't represent their interests or value their voices, it's heartbreaking. And I know I'm not alone.
Nope.
That's why I ran for office And it's why I've taken the fight straight to those in power.
There you go.
Even when it meant pissing off members of my own party. I've been fighting the status quo for 10 years. And I'm still fighting, taking on the fights that no one else will.
I see Mandy behind her. Mandy, that just lost her race over here. Mandy with Norrell. I always forget her name. Y'all know I'm horrible with names. I want to know what kind of conversation went on, because I have a feeling that Mandy wanted to run for governor. I felt like Mandy was being groomed to run for governor. I would love to know, be a fly on the wall, these earlier conversations before this announcement was made. Just saying, not saying anything sinister, but I know Mandy has ambition.
Even when I have to fight alone. Now, more than ever, having the courage to lead matters. The past year has been very hard. When we needed leadership, we got cowardice. When we should have been united, Republicans politicized everything to divide us. For those who believe, like Governor McMaster and others, that South Carolina should just shut up and get back to their $7.25 an hour jobs.
Come on.
I challenge them to try to live on those wages. And while many South Carolina Dems continue to work hard to solve problems in our rural, underserved parts of the state, the governor is turning away federal unemployment dollars that folks across South Carolina desperately need, proving once again that he's only concerned with one problem, and that's getting himself reelected. Time and time again, these so-called leaders are still clinging to their good old days when the privilege and power of a few trumped the rights and freedoms of many. Yet, here we are. It shouldn't be us versus...
She's gonna be a great debater. She's gonna have command. She's gonna be a measured, patient, and methodical debater. She will. This is, and you know what? A lot of people get caught up on like just election day and who will win, and make sure you go out and vote in GOTV, this, that, and the third. It's the actual race that matters so much, and the outcome is important, of course. If we're able to earn the distinction of having a state with maybe the first black woman governor in the country, or whatever, first black woman, whatever it is, that's great. That's tremendous. But to keep McMaster honest and to challenge him and to have a thoughtful rebuttal to some of his I guess his comments, a rebuttal to his policy making, more importantly, not just his comments, his policy making, his decision making. That's what you want to see too, because during a campaign, you're more apt to see someone peel back the layers on each candidate. But we really haven't had someone really pose a real threat to McMaster. The James Smith campaign really never got me. And we know that Mandy, I got her name now, Mandy Powers Norrell, we know that she was tapped to be the lieutenant governor to run alongside James Smith. That's why I felt as if she would probably throw her hat in the ring to run for governor. To be like, whatever. I don't even talk about Mandy right now, but James Smith his campaign to me never really offered up the type of response to McMaster that I thought really damaged him or was illuminating outside of just partisan differences. And I feel like, and with James, you kind of felt like he was being dragged into candidacy. Hey, he's a former vet. Hey, he's unoffensive. He's scandal free. He was really like Joe Cunningham. He was like a Rorschach test, or maybe even a blank slate that you can project anything you wanted to see onto James Smith, right? Didn't think his campaign was exciting. Didn't think that his campaign was inspirational. Now, granted, I was and still am salty that I was hired and fired before I even started my job with James Smith. But that shows me, that happens in politics all the time. But it also shows me, because I didn't get face-to-face, I didn't even get a call. I felt like that means your campaign is just run by, like, your campaign was buns. And we saw about how many people got fired and let go from that campaign, and the campaign was in disarray. But I felt like James was being pulled into candidacy. He didn't really want to run for governor. And then we see what happened afterwards and kind of just faded away. And I think with Mia is making a stronger case and looks like she's really, really up for debating McMaster, which is important.
Them or me versus you. We get to decide today who.
All right, I'm gonna fast forward a little bit because I want to hit one more news story before I give you the peace sign. I don't know if you can hear me. Fast forward just a little bit.
And let's get to work. Waiting to build a better, stronger state. Scripture reminds me that we walk by faith and not by sight. So if you believe as I do, that together.
The pastor got a Gucci belt.
We can build a better, stronger South Carolina, a South Carolina that all of us can be part of, a South Carolina that all of us can be.
Shout out to the news team for panning out. That was awesome. So you see the Majeska Simpkins house, you see elected members, elected officials, you see Tamika Isaac Devine here and Mandy here checking social media. See some other people I can't necessarily name in place right now. Shout out.
Be proud of than this. This is our moment. But only if we have the courage to seize it. South Carolina is ready for a leader who has the guts to govern. If you're ready for her too, go to miaforsc.com.
I mean, you better land that disc. You better stick that landing. You better point them to that website. Yeah, that was amazing. I think she's a great candidate. And I'm looking forward to commenting on her race. Hopefully I can speak directly with Mia McLeod on my platform. Yeah. So there was some other recent news. The department, there was a walkout yesterday. I'm trying to get the right. No. Let me do this. SCDJJ. Let me see. Right, here we go. So I'm gonna go to let me go to WLTX first, and then I'll go to WIST. Thank y'all for rocking with me. I'm about to wrap it up. I just wanted to hop on a Saturday when I had a little bit more going on. So here's a package.
We begin tonight with calls for change at the State Department of Juvenile Justice. Some employees walking out this morning to protest what they say are poor.
This whole system is in shambles in this state.
Working conditions at the state agency.
News 19's Julia Kaufman is live outside of DJJ this hour. She has more details on what happened today. Julia?
JR, Darcy, those employees that were protesting earlier today were demanding better pay and shorter shifts. They also voiced concern over lack of safety inside the facilities.
We won't change for our kids. We won't change for our staff.
We're not slaves.
It's getting hard, as a parent, as a staff member. You don't know if you're going to come in here and leave out the same way you came.
Juvenile Correctional Officer Brittany Larkin says staff members are overworked and exhausted, leading to an unsafe environment.
People getting really bad assaulted, and you don't see them for months because it's just that bad. The kids are not safe because we as staff members, if you're working that many hours, you don't have a high response time. Communication is down. You're tired. So how can we as officers protect the kids if we're working these long hours?
Larkin says officers work over 24 hours straight with little
crazy.
to no breaks because they're understaffed.
Plus, their salaries are very, very low.
I am thinking about the kids. I ain't gonna lie. This is office. Yeah. I am thinking about the kids. When I first caught wind of the story early yesterday, as it was happening, and the news media just doing their thing with it, being very reactive to it. Yeah, I thought about the kids immediately. and thought about the conditions. Of course, the workers matter, but this is part of our carceral state that is so neglected, and we see this firsthand here in Charleston County. I want to lift up the work of Zakia out and let me see if there's anything with Zakia. Let me see if there's any. Nah, I was going to literally. As the kid runs this mitigation program with at-risk youth. Yeah, this is the kid right here. Zakia Esper. I'm not gonna play the video because I'm not sure what she's talking about here, but Zakia runs sowing seeds into the Midlands. Well, let's play it. Shit.
Good evening. My name is Zakia Esper. I am the founder and executive director of Sowing Seeds into the Midlands. I am one of the proud members of Jen's nonprofit mentoring nuggets group, and I'm so excited to be a part of that group. And so she's doing a video about other group, but Zakia's work working with at-risk youth directly is super important. Basically the work she does helps in a lot of ways. You can make the argument that the work that she creates and standing up and advocating for youth throughout various stages of their time, their various stages of their engagement with the carceral state, even before they even become incarcerated, she helps to keep kids out of DJJ, not just with mentorship, but like I said, with advocacy. And one would argue funding those nonprofits or funding that work would arguably help with some of these issues, but because these kids are deemed irredeemable, tend to be just casted off to the wayside. Folks don't really think about the complexity of this issue and what stopgap measures, what type of programs exist that can help alleviate some of this pressure that that the staff in these facilities are facing. Let me keep playing.
They're not appreciated for what they do, and they have a very important job. They protect the children of South Carolina.
Senator Katrina Shealy joined
they pro-life until it's about, these kids like this.
Protesters Friday in solidarity. She's been advocating for change at DJJ since a legislative audit report found several violations in the agency.
I have talked over and over with the governor's office. I have asked them to make some changes. They haven't done that.
It's not lost on me also that most of the personnel that's at least involved in this press event, that this personnel looks almost entirely African American, which I think also contributes to the attitudes of how the governor chooses to respond to treatment and care of not just staff, but the children who are in custody of DJJ. We've seen the governor, especially during hurricane season, pretty much disregard our incarcerated population here in South Carolina, not even evacuating or not even coming up with a plan where he even suggests evacuating incarcerated populations in the event of a natural disaster. When we had that 1,000-year flood that impacted the Midlands a few years ago, people don't know how near death some of those inmates were in terms of if the flooding had reached a certain facility, there are certain if their electricity, their access to electricity is limited, that means the way that prison operates becomes a problem. So much so that one of my friends who's on the ground, a grassroots organizer in the Midlands, the way they articulated the issue is that the governor was creating a death trap by not responding, not being proactive about how to evacuate incarcerated populations in the event of a natural disaster. So I saw when Governor McMaster and even his predecessor, I've seen how they responded to, showing up for our incarcerated population with the adults, right? We already know what's going on in some of these correctional facilities. So it doesn't surprise me that DJJ is facing some of the same criticism from, in this one right here is an
as a Republican elected official. And she's out here standing in solidarity with this personnel, and like you said, for the kids. But we're creating death traps in some instances for this incarcerated population, and even in this way too. This is not a natural disaster, but it's a death trap. It's so much harm that can be caused when you don't have personnel that's taken care of, and you don't have the adequate facilities to house these people, to house these children, to house these human beings. Jonick James, you said there's so many kids there that don't belong there. Absolutely. Zakia illuminated that fact to me in previous conversations. You go on to say, Jonick James, don't get you started on the parents that want their kids there. I know. Yeah, it's complicated. It's a messy issue. There ain't no villains and victors. It's a very complicated issue. But I will say this: that there are alternatives. And there are steps that can be made when we talk about Jamal Sutherland, when we talk about people being incarcerated for mental health issues, kids who are incarcerated or put in custody of DJJ because of behavioral issues, kids who need treatment, who need other types of care. When we talk about the carceral state, we have to keep in mind the children who are impacted by the carceral state as well. And this is just sad. This is just sad.
And, I was surprised when I got the phone call this morning that said, they had walked out. But, I don't blame them.
Shealy's been working with lawmakers to create recommendations to improve DJJ. The agency says they're working to make sure the facility is safe and secure while fewer staff members are working. DJJ Director Freddie Pugh eventually came out to speak with the protesters. He addressed their concerns and answered questions about pay and safety.
We want to try to do all that we can to get some more folks in here, to get them the support that they need and the relief that they need. We're hopeful that we're going to...
Like he came ready for the cameras. I'm going to ask my folks on the ground about him because I don't know enough about him.
To get the support from the General Assembly to raise the salaries.
Now, Director Pugh said he's working to try to increase the salaries, as he just said, for employees here and hire...
It ain't just the salaries.
More staff. But some of the protesters that were here today said they're not very hopeful that change will happen as quickly as it needs to. Live in Columbia, Julia Kaufman, News 19.
Okay. I'm gonna leave it there. Thanks for rocking with me on a Saturday. I'm gonna get some more rest. I'm gonna get some more rest and then maybe get to work on some other things. Hopefully y'all are, let me switch cameras real quick. Hopefully y'all are enjoying your Saturday and getting rest as well. Hopefully you're enjoying Pride. I'm not really into Charleston Pride at all. No shade, but shade. I'm not really into Charleston Pride. I want to be where the people are. I just start singing that when I see, my friends in other states and other places. I miss living in Philly around times like this. Philly was a very, very LGBTQ plus area, and there's just so much programming and work and important voices being lifted up. Not to say that we don't have that here. Let me not do that. I love living here, and I love my people here who are enjoying Pride here in Columbia, or here in Charleston, here in Columbia, and throughout the state. I'm not into it. Stuff would just be making me sad. All right, because I want to see real policy. I want to see policy reflect the pageantry. I want to see policy reflect or match the performative, right? That's what I want to see. So anyway, thanks for rocking with me. I really appreciate it. I had to talk about this stuff. And it looks like Monday's going to be just as juicy. We still got to follow up on Harry Griffin. We still got to follow up on this DJJ story. We got to follow up on so much. So Monday, I'll be back at it, doing usual Twitch things at 7:30 a.m. And hopefully soon, we'll be bringing in that Instagram audience so that, I can engage more people every morning. All right. But thank you. Take care, y'all. I appreciate you. Bye.